invite our candidates in, and while they're making their way in there, I do want to welcome everyone here tonight. I want to thank you guys, concerned citizens of Pickens County, with us here. On behalf of the Pickens County Chamber of Commerce, I want to welcome you to our chamber facility. My name is Dave Garner. I'll be one of our moderators tonight. I'm the co-chairman of the chamber board, and it's certainly an honor to be here tonight. Dan Poole from the Pickens Progress has also been asked, along with myself, to be moderators for this event tonight. We thank Dan for being with us, and also we have with us the Hammer, Ron Barnes, who'll be our policeman here tonight, our timekeeper. Ron, of course, is a very active member of the chamber. He's a board member and also the chair of our Government Relations Committee. And Ron has done an excellent job of helping to organize this event tonight. How about a big hand for these guys? We will explain a few things as we go. One of the things that we're going to start out with, of course, is the district candidate for the county commission. And basically what we'll do is we'll take turns asking questions of our candidates. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to form their response. There may be rebuttal time allowed depending on the candidates and how they feel about certain topics. And of course later on tonight we'll take a 15-minute intermission after the 45-minute session that we're fixing to have, and we'll have the chairman commission debate, which will also go 45 minutes as well. So again, we thank you guys for being here. We'll explain the commission chair rules prior to that debate coming up a little bit later on here tonight, but we are going to get started here in just a second with our district candidate forum. Also, if you guys have questions in the audience for the district portion of this forum tonight, we will accept some audience questions. If you have a question, Denise Duncan right here, who is our chamber executive president, she will come by and collect them. If you just raise your hand, if you have a question that you've written down, just hold that up and Denise will come by and get that from you. And depending on how much time we have left in the 45-minute session, we will ask some of your submitted questions. Thank you. At this time, we want to welcome all of our candidates who are with us here today. And at this time, we have a couple of different microphones for you guys to share. We'll let you three share one, and we'll let you three share one. If you would, take just a second to introduce your name and which post that you are running for. You guys would quickly do that.
Jerry Barnes, District 1, West.
Steve Jombra, County Commission Post 1, which is the West.
Can't hear. You need to speak up.
Steve Jombra, Commission Post 1 to the West.
Marty Callahan, District 1 West, Commissioner.
Bart Conley, District 1, Western District Commissioner.
Becky Denny, Post 2 Commissioner, Eastern.
Jerry Patterson, better known as Jabbo, Post 2, the East District.
Now, we'd also like to remind folks that Stanley Morris could not be here tonight due to revival, and also Sally Sue Bradley, the Democrat, was unable to be with us here tonight because this debate was scheduled at the same time as the monthly Democrat meeting. So we do apologize to Sally Sue Bradley, who sends her best, and also Stanley Morris as well. So with that, I'm going to turn the first question over to Mr. Dan Poole of the Pickens Progress.
Good evening. This is obviously a new position, never been elected before. It's created by the voters. There's a lot of leeway under what the candidates could do. Could you give us some insight as to how you see the post? Do you see it as more full-time, coming into the office, having agendas of your own, or do you see it more as a board position, more of a sounding post for the policies?
We'll start with Mr. Barnes and work our way down.
Well, I feel like if you get in touch with your constituents, it's going to be a pretty full-time job. You're going to have to get out to the county in your area, talk to the people, get their feelings on everything, and get back when you have your regular meetings.
I feel it's a full-time post as well. I have a business, a local business, and the door will be open anytime to talk to anyone about any issue they wanted to talk to or talk about.
Yes, it will be full-time. The position will take, especially it being a new position, and we'll have a lot of new responsibilities and roles. Two district sides, I believe, will be making a lot of the decisions, and the way the vote's set up, each side of us will vote on most of the issues, and the chair will be the breaking the ties. So I believe it's going to be very important positions, but I believe it will be a full-time job.
The way the law reads, if you read the law, this is listed as a part-time position. The major aspects are working on policy and working on the budget. Anybody who thinks it's a part-time position is in the wrong place, because it will be a full-time job. Going out, meeting the constituents, not only from your area, but also in the other district, because the representative from east and the west aren't there to fight each other, they're there to work together for the betterment of the county.
Thank you. Like Bart, I have read the legislation, and we are basically policy makers. The chairman would break a tie if we disagree on something, but it actually carries a lot of responsibility, and I also see it as a fairly full-time job with talking to constituents and so forth. It says in the law that we can attend a certified commissioner school, and on top of that, we can also attend an advanced school. And I would be very willing to attend both of those and learn everything that I can, but it is pretty broad. Thank you.
When the position was created, it was House Bill 1341. And in that bill, it specified 18 points that we would be involved in. And that's everything from levying taxes, to opening and closing of roads, moving bridges. It's pretty much involved with everything that the day-to-day commissioner does. So it's going to be intricate, and we will have to work together. I see it as more of a full-time position to begin with, so that we go into this smoothly. And like Becky said, there are 2 schools offered, and certainly we want to take advantage of that.
All right, well, you guys have passed the first test there. Everyone was under the time there, the 90 seconds, so that's good. Just a reminder to the candidates, if you do see Mr. Barnes' hand go up, then you have approximately 10 seconds to wrap things up. One thing I failed to do is welcome you guys here today. We thank you for taking part in this Chamber of Commerce debate. The next question will come from myself, and we'll start with Mr. Patterson and work our way back down the other way. Pickens County has been hit particularly hard by the recession, as our local economy relied so heavily on real estate. What role does county government have, if any, in attracting jobs and new industry?
Well, I think to attract jobs and new industry, first you have to attract the industry. I think we need to be broad-minded in that. I think we may have to look at giving a tax break, a 3 to 5 year tax break, to draw the right business. If it's the right business, then I say give them a break. If you do that, then you will draw the jobs, because they will be there.
I think that we would need to support some of the programs in place. Our economic development director seems to be working hard, and we would need to support him. We would need to support what's going on now. We have a lot of good things. The chamber's doing a good job. Our economic director, a lot of things are really positive, and I think we keep those in place. But also, as new board members, I think we need to be visionaries. I think all of the good leaders, if you look in the past, have been visionaries. We have to keep our eye on the ball of what's happening now and constantly look to the future. Thank you.
I want to start this one off. I should have done it the first time. I want to thank the 3 people sitting in front of me for volunteering your time to be here and ask us questions. And I also want to thank everybody in the room for coming to listen to the answers. The county responsibility as far as jobs is not to create jobs, because the only jobs the county can create are government jobs. We have to create an atmosphere that industry wants to come to Pickens County. We have a wonderful technical school here that's capable of, if somebody wants to come in and they're making a certain kind of widget and they want to teach a class on the widget, we have a school here that can teach it to make the people of Pickens County eligible for those jobs that come in. It's setting the conditions that a company would come in on. It's improving our roads, making sure we have the water. for whatever resources they need, and that's what the county's role is in bringing jobs into Pickens County.
Three big things that I have about new jobs and bringing them industry into the county, and the government has the role there, is infrastructure. If you don't have infrastructure, we can't bring anybody here. We got to find our source of some water, and we got to get that soon. You got to have that as your main business. But small business, that's the best thing you're going to do for any kind of business growth. Small business will put us back in this economy, and small business will keep us there. The big plants, the big waters, the big poultry plants, we can't use them, we can't need them, it's not there. We have to go to a small business and support that. Right here, the chamber is a perfect example of that. I served on the board here for 5 years. I was the chairman of the board here, and we did a lot of job initiatives with the state of Georgia, and you've got to get back to that initiative with small business.
I believe the number one problem in Pickens County, the number one problem is jobs, period. I see it every day on a daily basis, it's jobs. People that try and pawn a little bit of things they own to buy diapers for the babies. Jobs is the problem. And I really believe the way to do this is by tax breaks to bring manufacturing and other businesses to the county, period. Every decision made by an elected official in Pickens County, in my opinion, should be geared towards more jobs, no matter what it is. Not FDR make-work jobs, but real jobs. I've got manufacturing course would be good. I've got an extensive background in manufacturing, and I'd be very useful to that in that aspect.
Well, I agree with everybody else. Jobs is the number one problem in this county. When you got 52% of your workforce going outside the county to work, there's something wrong. We need to get jobs here. Of course, we know we haven't got the water to do the heavy industry. We need some technical jobs, light industrial jobs. I was at 2 businesses last week, and one of them worked 21 people, and they're on well water. It's a business. It's a business that don't take much water, and they're working full time. And the other was assisted living center. They've stayed full ever since they opened up. That's another thing in the future is going to be needed greatly here too.
Okay, we do want to remind the candidates to speak close into the microphone when you have it here and project really good for us, okay?
In previous statements, I think all of y'all running have made reference that you are conservative in your spending, which is in line with the mood of the country today. But at the county level, there are needs such as ballparks, roads that may be paved, sheriff deputies, maybe we need to expand there, we may need to expand in ambulance services. How do we balance these with some of the fundamental needs of government, like law enforcement, recreation, road paving, versus your conservative values?
We'll start with Mr. Barnes this time.
Well, being conservative and being smart is two different, same thing, I think. We've got a big splash going now with the courthouse and all this stuff, and we know we can't do nothing for at least 2 more years probably. But I'd like to see in the future a recreation area on the west and the east end. I mean, that's in the future. The way the economy is right now, there's no way we'd probably do it. But I've had people at meetings I've been to said, we just need a place to go walk. And they don't want to drive 15 miles to Roper Park to do it. And if you've been at Roper Park, we've got a good facility out there, but you haven't got a place to park when everybody's having a ball game. I've had to straddle ditches out there all season. But that's what I think we need right now.
I believe the answer to that conservative spending is do whatever makes sense. Use your common sense, get all the information at hand, and do what makes sense. If the sheriff says, look, we need 10 more deputies, well then we probably need to get 10 more deputies. Do whatever makes sense. And just don't blow it on stuff that we don't really need.
Smart spending is conservative spending, and looking at the recreation department, I coached for 25 years, and I understand Jerry talking about roads and parking spaces and that type of thing. Our facilities are tough, but in this economic climate, recreation is not the most important thing. We have to find some new parks, find some new roads, find some new deputies, but in this economic time, that's a tough thing to do. All I hear is people talking about taxes. Let's talk about property taxes. That's the problem we got. Everybody in here, I believe, I could get a show of hands, wants my property taxes lowered. We need to work on those things as an economic issue.
The conservative spending doesn't mean you cut out the essentials that are needed. Essentials, what I'm talking about, are a good sheriff's department, good ambulance service, a good fire department. The amount of paid firemen we have now in the county is increasing. That's something we need. The number of volunteer firemen throughout the county is dwindling. It's getting harder and harder for people to volunteer. I do believe in, the recreation. I have coached too over at the park, and it does get very crowded. But to me, as Marty said, that's the last thing on that list of 4 would be the parks and recreation. We need to keep up our roads. We need to keep up a good sheriff's department. The parks and recreation will come. We do need something on the western end of the county, something on the eastern, whether it's just one ball field and a good walking trail around it, but that's to come future down the road.
I am conservative, but I am definitely for maintaining all of our properties, our equipment, keep everything in good shape. I would relate this to at your home, you can let your property run down and maybe just repair that roof. And sometimes that's okay, but sometimes you can be too frugal. So I would definitely be for maintaining what we have in good condition, keep everything running well, keep up the roads, sort of keep the status quo and slowly add these things as the economy turns around. As far as recreation, the only thing that comes to my mind is maybe we have a swim team now, and I'm not sure if at some point we wouldn't look at a large, nicer pool. That's one thing that comes to my mind. But I am for maintaining what we have and taking good care of it, and then slowly improving and moving forward.
There's no question that we have to do what is necessary to keep everything in the county functioning. No one wants to wait an extended period of time for an ambulance. Nobody wants to ride over a bumpy road. And what we have to do is manage the resources we have to maintain that and improve it. You can spend smarter if you look where you need to be looking. On the recreation part, we've got kids, and a lot of kids in the county, and they're growing. We do need to provide more services for them, but not at the cost of a tax increase. I think the taxes are the #1 thing, but I think if we put our heads together and work, this county can progress as it needs to.
Okay, thank you. A lot of you had mentioned taxes. A simple one-word answer will do here, unless you feel like you need a few seconds to explain, but yes or no, do you favor a senior school tax exemption for Pickens property owners? We'll start with Mr. Patterson this time.
Well, in fact, we do have a senior tax exemption for anyone with a household income of $25,000 or less. They get a senior tax break on the school taxes. Is that enough? I don't know. With the economy the way it is, maybe we need to increase that to $30,000, $35,000. As far as across the board tax break for all seniors, I don't think that is physically responsible with a 17% of seniors in this county. I don't see how we can do that and maintain the services that the county expects to have.
I also am afraid that this would just merely be a shifting of the tax burden to our youth that probably are having enough struggles in this down economy. So I think my answer would be no, that I would not be for it at this time, but I would be open to looking at it in the future as things turn around.
As Jerry said, there already is a tax break for seniors with a certain income. And on the school tax, and that is something covered under the school board, and the county commissioners do not, per se, control the school board as far as, you know, what they do with the money. What could be done for seniors, though, is continue on a study to see how much a break you could give them on taxes and how it would affect the rest of the economy of the county. It's not something that can be done in, you know, a one-word answer, yes, we're for it, no, we're against it. It's something that needs to be studied, compared to the budget. Take that 17% of our seniors and see how much income they do pay in, how much taxes they pay in, and what the county could afford to give them in a tax break.
Like Bart said and Jerry said, it's a school board issue, and the county can make all the recommendations of it. It's a school board that will vote on this, and we have to have a lot more work between our school board and our county government going forward, because we both bill for both taxes, and that's got to be a project that we do together. The big problem, the 25,000 and 65 age, we could look at that as doing, I think a phasing into that program could possibly be it, a 5 or 10 year plan. There's no way we could do it all at once if we got any figures like that. But look at Gilmer County. Gilmer County is how many millions of dollars in debt right now? They just passed this 4 years ago, and look where they are. Do we want to go that far? No.
No, I don't support that.
If you look at this, and we've got other places that's hurting too, sure, we'd like to give seniors a discount on their taxes. But we've got young families here, single parent families with 2 kids, trying to keep a house going, and they're having a harder time than anybody in this economy here. So I would vote no.
Okay, so I'm going to work in a few of the questions we've gotten from the floor, and if you don't think people are listening, we've got some pretty specific questions here. One person has asked, and I'm going to paraphrase slightly, most of you noted that the chairman commission would be the one to break a tie. What this person is asking is, and I'm going to change this slightly, do you believe all 3 commissioners will be able to work together when you are in office? Or do you believe there will be situations where it will be a 1-1 split and the commission chairman will need to break ties?
Mr. Barnes.
That's going to be something that's going to happen. I mean, you can't all agree. Everybody's got ideas, and probably both of them will be good, you know. But that's what you're going to be there for, to break ties and make the right decision.
I'm sure there'll be times when someone's going to have to break the tie. I'm sure of that.
Yes, there'll be times when there'll be ties. There are going to be a lot of issues that'll come up, especially starting in the new year with all the new policies. What is interesting about the vote, the way we divided this up between the East and the West, you've got representation and you're voting. Our 4 candidates on this side are voting to elect somebody in the West side. We've got these 2 in the East side. Think about the issues that are going to be split between the 2 counties. There's going to be disagreements between the 2. There always has been, there always going to be. So yes, the chair's going to play a huge role.
I agree with what they've said so far. You know, you see us sitting up here, you know, 4 of us here on the west, 1 of us is not here, but then the 2 on the east, and we get along. I've seen all of us talk to each other. We're friendly, but there are going to be times when we just disagree, and it's going to happen, and that's what the commission will be there for, it is to break the tie.
I agree with that also, that there will be ties, but also I think we can work together, talk things out, try to compromise whenever possible. I know that I learned a lot of these skills in the insurance industry. You couldn't always give people what they wanted or thought they should get for a certain item that they had lost in a car accident or something. So I think all of us here in our present jobs have had experience with compromise, and we can work on that. But yes, there will be times that we will just disagree.
Well, there's no question, there's going to be times, if I'm elected from the east, one of these gentlemen's elected from the west, they're going to work for their constituents just as hard as I am. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to decide what's best for the county as a whole. And that's where the commissioner will come in and do the tiebreaker. The chair will do that. And that's the way it's supposed to work.
Okay, thank you. The next question is regards revenue, and it's to a certain extent a chamber pertinent question, I guess, but what is your position on generating revenue from allowing Sunday beer and wine sales locally? And we'll start with Mr. Patterson this time.
I will be opposed to Sunday beer and wine sales. I think that's the Lord's Day, and I'm opposed to it.
Goodness, I had not thought about this. You know, I think the city is putting a vote to it, and it will be voted in there. So I have mixed feelings. You know, should we put the county on equal footing? I'm not sure how many people this affects. I think I would be okay with it.
This is one of those questions, or you have your opinion made up already. I myself drink very, very little on doctor's orders, and I'm the kind of guy, if I want to drink, I'm going to buy it at the store on Saturday. To switch, to have sale, you know, I believe like Jerry said, you know, Sunday's the Lord's Day. And if you need a drink, just like if you need food for Sunday, when do you buy it? You buy it on Saturday. That's how I feel about it. You know, if it goes on the ballot, that's fine. Let the people decide. I'm not opposed to putting it on the ballot. Myself, I would vote against it.
6 days are ours and one has the Lord, so I'm against it. And I believe that's a good answer, and that's what my mom would want me to say.
I honestly believe it's probably just lost revenue because people go to another county and buy beer on Sunday afternoon and they want to watch a football game and have a cookout. So it doesn't bother me. I'd probably vote for it.
I'd vote against it.
Try to combine two questions from the floor. If I can, this may become a jumbled mess, but could you elaborate if you have thoughts on the current real estate tax assessed values for what properties are assessed at for our digest? And if you think they are in line or out of line, if you have, this is one of those, if you have not seen the values, you may not be familiar with that, but I'll combine that with question two. That with possibly facing a lower tax digest this year, which may affect the budget, what do you see as, where can the county cut spending from its current levels to reflect a lower tax digest?
Mr. Barnes.
I have seen some of the appraisals and stuff on the tax records, and there is some that seem out of whack to me. But, you know, I'm not a appraiser. I've got the last part of the question.
If the county's tax digest comes in lower, producing less revenue, where would you propose cutting spending?
I would take the, all the departments in and look at, all three of the commissioners should take the department heads in, look over what's being spent in each department and see if there's any places that we could cut taxes.
Basically, at least speaking for myself, I don't have enough information at hand to answer that question. It would have to be something that have to be researched and just dig into it and see what's fat and what can be cut. That's what you're asking. What could be cut if the tax revenue don't produce? There's not enough information here. We just have to look at it and see.
Can I have 10 minutes? No, the real estate values, I heard an economist speak a couple months ago and said it takes 5 years for a good real estate economy, property taxes to adjust to any economy. And we've had a strange economy these days. We've got it going this way, and then we've got it going, it's almost like a diamond. And it takes a long time for them to correct. But we've got to take, I work in the insurance business, and we have a calculator that can exactly tell you, based on the square footage, the roof size, your bathrooms, your flooring, all that, exactly how much it would take to replace a home. And all you have to put in, is it like a standard built home, is it custom, or those type of things. So values, there's a calculator that does that. And then you can put in how far we are from the towns, how far you are from the county line, how far you are from recreation areas, and those type of things. There's got to be a fixed way. We've got to take the personal side out of it. There's too many people's properties that are exactly the same on one side of town and on the other side of town that are incredibly different. I've talked to people, so many people, and that's been the biggest issue that I've had is about property taxes and why mine and yours are different, and that should not be right. And it also goes back to the saving of the spending on the government. We need to privatize things. For a building inspection, it needs to be privatized. The county doesn't need to be hiring county inspectors. We need the private people to do that. Let the private people take care of it.
As far as current real estate tax assessment, in my own case, mine is pretty good compared to other properties. We just went through a refinancing, several months ago, but you had to get a new appraisal. And when they come out and did the appraisal, they checked into other properties. It was pretty good compared to other properties, same size, same type of house. If you disagree with your county tax appraisal, you can appeal it. There's an appeal process to go through. So there are some remedies to, if you think you're paying too much and you're paying way more than your neighbors with the same type of property, go down and appeal it. As far as what could be cut out of the county budget would be something that would have to sit down with the three commissioners, as I said already, go through the whole budget. I was at the commissioner meeting this year when the budget was presented. There are a lot of categories in there, and you'd have to look at each one individually and say, where can we save 2%, 3%, 5%? Is there any possible way we can do that without affecting to me, the big three are the police, the fire department, and the ambulance service in this county. We don't want to mess them up. I think they're doing a good job, but there's other areas that we could look into.
I agree that I'm not sure we have enough information to answer this properly, but I also think that we would bring in the department heads from the various departments and look line by line at what they could cut, because probably the property values have dropped, and like Marty, I hear a lot about that also, but I just don't feel that we have enough information to address that at this time, but I would definitely get in there and look at everything, and then I think we could make a good decision. Thank you.
There's no question that property values have declined. Everybody knows that. It's been that way. Whether or not you wanted to wholesale reevaluate the whole county, and in result, if you lowered it, have to increase the millage rate, it's tick for tat. On the county budget, you can pull the department heads in, do a line item check. The road department, for example, we had the mildest winter on record. I'm sure they didn't use near what they would have. Salting, scraping roads, maintaining icy roads, getting school buses out. We had a mild spring, so the road department should have saved us some money. I know Donnie Craig said that he came in under budget last year. These are the people you have to go to do that. And really, we don't have enough information to give you a good answer on the tax rate.
And just a reminder to speak good and loud into that microphone there. We certainly appreciate that. Next question also comes from the audience, and it says, to continue to absorb budget cuts from the state to local communities, how will you promote commercial growth to grow the tax base? We'll start with Mr. Patterson.
Well, there's no question if we're going to promote commercial growth, we're going to have to provide infrastructure. And of course, that is water. I think we have to look in every area we can to do that. Two spots that I've looked at, and something we might consider, is a joint city-county reservoir where Cove Creek is now. You've got two natural mountain sites. would be very easy to dam. I know there's a lot of state regulations. There's a spot on 136 where the new bridge is past Bart's store. Perfect site for a reservoir. You would be stopping up top of Rock Creek. The state, I'm sure, will be involved. But if we don't do it now, we're not doing what's right for our children. If it takes us 15 years to build a reservoir to get water, our children will have it and our grandchildren will have it 20 years from now.
And I agree that that is the ultimate answer to get a reservoir, and you have to start sometime, and we do need to look at that. But in the meantime, I think we need to look at smart businesses, such as a large call center that could employ many of our citizens. We need to look at some clean industry, like a small manufacturing company or distribution, retailers. We need to go ahead and be working on what we can do at the current time, and there again, be visionaries and be looking toward a reservoir in the future, because ultimately that is the answer for large industry.
I think it's very important to work with the other commissioners and with the other leaders of the cities of this county and with the business leaders to see, the business leaders that are here now know best what business wants to come into this county. The county can create an atmosphere that shows we're very positive in our growth. We want people to come in, but we got to do it very carefully. If you all heard lately, down in Cherokee County, they spent a lot of money to bring a business in to chop wood up, and the business failed, and now it's costing the county $100,000 a month to pay the bills to keep this business still there. The county's on the hook for millions of dollars. So it has to be very smart growth that we look into to bring a business in here, and thank you.
Smart growth is the key word. The chamber here, we've gone through all the initiatives on any kind of small business plan. I mentioned that before. We have to look at the reservoir issue. Can't remember 25 years ago, was it, when we tried to get a reservoir here? I don't know why it didn't happen. What was the problem? Did we not let it happen? We don't have a plan. We need a 20-step, 20-year plan in Pickens County that says we're going to do this. We're going to do water, we're going to do recreation, we're going to do roads, we're going to do this. We don't have a direction. We need a plan to go 20 years in the future. There's nobody that's at fault. We have to make that decision. Murray County just went through a 22-20 plan. I lived in Rome for a couple of years, and I was on that committee that did that. They just finished their plan. They had to redo it because they made 13 of their steps earlier than they thought. We need a vision. We need a plan. Jerry Nectaval has worked with the economic development to try to get some new jobs and new programs here. He needs help. He needs support. We've got to get behind the community and get to that point.
This, basically, the answer is the same thing I said before. We need more jobs in Pickens County, period. And I think everybody agrees on that. My thought will be to make it more attractive for businesses, lowering taxes, other tax breaks that we can do that bring other businesses, especially manufacturing facilities, or call centers like Becky had said. That's what we need. Of course, if the infrastructure needs to be addressed, then when it's time to do it, then we need to do it. Now's the time, then now's the time. It takes a plan. Jobs is the answer to everything. Jobs is the answer to everything. And everybody needs to make that decision.
I still think we need to look at just mostly technical jobs and light industry. I don't think we're ever going to have enough water here in Pickens County to do that, anything other than that. City of Canton is just about went busted on their quarter interest in the reservoir down there. And right now, I think we've got I think it was 1 million gallon a day offer. 1.5 million offer from Gordon County to pump water in here, which we're using now, what, 350, 400,000? But these kind of jobs is not going to take that much water, but to get heavy industry in here and stuff, we just not going to be able to handle it.
Got one more from the floor. In the mid-'80s, the county began to charge the school board 3% of all school taxes collected. would you consider waiving this fee or reducing it?
This is just something we'd have to look at as a board. I don't know how much it's costing to collect this tax for them, but it's something we could look at.
Again, my answer to this, again, is it's just not enough information. You can learn more about it to make an intelligent decision on that.
I believe we need to embrace technology here. 3% to bill, I just have a problem with that. I need more information myself, but I'm having, we need to adapt to a company, maybe to come in, the 3%. I believe we need to, many of you do bill pay now. I mean, that's something you didn't do 5 years ago, but a lot of you do that now. I mean, let's do bring some people in here that go outside the spectrum. What's the average of the state? Let's do some research. Let's don't rely just on what we do here. Let's go after it and see what we need to do there.
Yeah, I agree with what Marty just said. It would take more research, again, getting in, looking at the budget, see how much that 3% revenue is for the county, what the county does with it, and how much it actually costs the tax department to do the billing, to do the collecting, and make a concerned decision at that time.
Well, I totally agree that we need more information. We would have to look at it, just what Bart just said. We would have to see how much it's costing the county to bill it, and so forth. We simply just don't have the information right now.
Bart is correct. I don't think we do have enough information. However, you do have to look at the fact that probably 73% of every tax dollar that comes into this county goes to the school. And that's something to consider. We're recouping a lot of revenue for the school board, and the county certainly, I don't think, should bear any cost of that. I don't think there should be an overcharge.
All right, thank you. I want to thank our audience for submitting some good questions here today. Final question for each candidate, and if you could limit your response to about 30 seconds due to time. You have folks in the audience that may be on your side, you have folks that may be against you, and some on the fence. What would you say in 30 seconds to any one of those three groups on why they should vote for you at the end of July? We'll start over here with Mr. Barnes and work our way across.
I feel like that my experience in business, as far as my experience in business and my volunteer work through different organizations and everything, has given me the physical responsibility to take this job and go with it.
Albert?
Before I had the store that I had, before I have a pawn shop like I do now, I'm trying not to say that. I worked in manufacturing for a long time. I bring a lot of experience from manufacturing, and I can bring a lot to this position. I'm very community-minded. I was a Cub Master for Harmony Elementary for 4 years, and I'm still involved in the Scouts. I'm a member of Pickens County Sportsman's Club. There's a fishing rodeo and stuff. I like this place. I like Pickens County, and I plan to live here forever. And I'd like to be a part of the decision-making process.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes, I think I will be your best candidate for this position, and I believe it's through leadership that I have all kinds of things. You can go to my website at callahanpost1.com and look at those things. I'm not going to go through that, but it takes leaders to be up here, and you've got to have the position to bring you to the forefront, and you've got to empower people. We don't do it here all ourselves. We have to empower you and your families and your friends, and I believe I can do that.
Mr. Connolly?
Yes, sir. What I would say to people, first thing I tell everybody why I'm getting into this, and I hold up the picture of my grandson. We all want to, as parents, make things better for our kids and our grandkids, and that's what I want to do as a county commissioner. I would bring a positive attitude to that position, and I'm very optimistic about the future of Pickens County.
Ms. Denny?
And I would like to say that I plan to represent many individuals in many different communities, because while each individual is different and every community has its own unique qualities, we are all Pickens County citizens, and we need to work together for the good of the county.
Mr. Patterson.
I've lived here 60 years. I have a son that lives next door to me with 3 grandchildren. My only goal in this job is to make this a better place to live. I worked 33 years with the Postal Service, served in 18 different management positions, and currently I work 2 days a month with the Atlanta Postal Credit Union as an internal auditor. I believe my experience in leadership in the Postal Service, my budget leadership in the credit union, and the use of good God-given common sense will make me your candidate.
All right. Candidates, we thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday night. Thank you for being here. How about an applause for all of our candidates?